tyrants demand compliance. We will not comply. No, stick to our plan and fight. Now it's you and me. First suppression, one for the ages. They won't hold us down. No, we're fired up at the sound of one nation under God, indivisible. They will try to take our crown, but they can't take it from me. 50 stars, 13 stripes, ain't it beautiful? It's time we unite, unmovable, standing side by side, united we stand, divided they will fall. One nation under God, indivisible. They will try to take our crown, but they can't take it from me. We have to stick to the plan. We will stick to the plan. It's liberty for all. It's time we unite and fight, fight, fight.
Are we on? Yeah, there we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Monday. It's Monday again, huh, Russ?
It is Monday.
I'm Kevin. I'm here with Russ as always. We have a special guest, but he's coming on a little bit later.
He's going to chime in at 2:30. Unlike a lot of, I've been ahead of the curve, Kevin.
I know.
By the way,
I was behind the curve.
I'm a construction cone on the screen.
Oh yeah, you're fixed.
Boop.
Not anymore.
There I am.
Hey.
There I am. Yeah, I'm a bit last couple weeks a little ahead of. Well, John screwed us last week.
Yeah, but it wasn't your fault. It's your fault for being friends with John.
The week before, I booked Amber ahead of time,
Yep.
and then today we got coming on the show at about 2:30 remotely. Republican candidate for Michigan Attorney General, Kevin. I'm gonna say
K.
it.
We'll just go with Kevin K. Well, we should ask him when he comes on.
All right. You know what? It's spelled Kijewski.
Yeah, but it's
But
Karus.
We're gonna play a video a little bit, and the broadcaster that interviewed him called him Kijewski.
Kijewski. Okay. Maybe.
And he didn't blink an eye. Kevin is a great guy. I met him a while back, and then I was at the Lapeer County Lincoln Day dinner, and he announced his run for Attorney General. And I went up, hey, I'm having a hard time with your last name. And he told me, and it wasn't like it says. And he goes, that's what my wife calls me, but it's we're going to ask him.
Yeah, we're going to ask him. Well, we're going to play the video too.
All right.
So
by the way, Kevin, before we go,
go ahead.
Either it's volume or something's a little muffled through
All
my
right,
headphone. I know we tested, but something's.
2, 3.
I bet you the stream is fine. But
Yeah, the stream is coming through fine because it's coming through fine with me. It's probably just headphones, but we'll adjust it as we go. Let's crank you up just a little.
check. Oh, that's like
that's crispy.
that's pretty crispy there.
It was just this little module.
So, anyways, he is the first. I think any candidates announced for Attorney General.
Else.
I know he's the first Republican candidate to announce for Attorney General, and this guy's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
He's the real deal, legitimate candidate. Perfect. I often tell people that are active like me, don't jump on the first candidate you run across. We got 9 months before the filing deadline. And, you jump on a candidate and then a better candidate comes along. What the hell are you going to do then? I'm jumping aboard. This guy.
I've only met him the one time, and I'm impressed.
He's pretty. He is an attorney for one of the 2020 Michigan electors.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned with how many electors are there? 13 or 14. Each one of them have their own attorneys, and they all got good attorneys.
Sure.
But Kevin seems to be their guy. Yeah, they all work together really well. And we're going to show a video. He's not afraid to call out lawfare that we've experienced.
Yeah, and lawfare, I think, is one of the biggest issues. That's
He's
in
not,
government. So
yeah, he is not afraid to call it out, and in a professional way, not in a crazy person way,
right?
Like attorneys do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Every interview I've seen with him, he's very cautious, but to the point.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he is. You're like, oh.
Yeah. So I want to explain, and he might talk about this a little bit. In Michigan, the Republican precinct delegates of the state there's no primary for Attorney General and Secretary of State.
Right. That's closed caucus or closed primary?
Yeah, it's actually a closed caucus situation. Yeah. In August of next year, not this year,
2026,
the precinct delegates will meet and choose the Attorney General and Secretary of State who will run against the others, the Democrats and the others, I guess, in the general. And then the voters then choose between the candidates in the general election.
Yeah.
But there's no primary for Secretary of State and Attorney General on the Democratic side or the Republican side. And I do think the Libertarians meet and pick their guy too.
Yeah.
They do for governor.
Well, I know that the Libertarians are one of the only ones that also have like delegates anyways to do so. I mean, independents normally don't.
We have delegates. I don't know how the Democrats do it. You know, the Jackson Democrats have 8 delegates. I don't know their process when they go to state convention. If I ever find some time, I'm going to check into that.
That's a good one. Well, I don't know how they picked the presidential candidate because the people picked somebody and then they said, no, we're going to run Kamala anyway.
That's my point. I was kind of leading to that, Kevin.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to nip you in the bud there.
Not just the insiders, the elite insiders pick their candidates is the way I'm sensing. Because if Jackson's got 8 precinct delegates, the Republicans, we only have 130, I think. We could have 400. Participation sucks. That's why I want to stress, guess what? If you want to help choose those 2 candidates a year from August, you need to be a precinct delegate.
He's been bugging me to be a precinct delegate for 10 years. And
yeah.
I just don't.
So, when we've talked about with John and others about a closed caucus system across the board, I'm off that a little bit now. Not all the way, but I'm off that a little bit now. I think there needs to be a closed primary where you have to declare that you're a Democrat or Republican.
Oh, I agree with that.
That has to happen. But, part of the pushback was always people would be pissed off if they don't get to choose their candidates in the primary. I don't think most Michiganders realize you're not choosing your Secretary of State or Attorney General from your party.
Until we had that conversation on this show, I didn't know.
Right. That is done by the precinct delegates of the state. There'll be a few thousand of us. We get together and we hammer out who's going to be those candidates, And
I think that's the way let the insiders pick. Let the people that know pick.
And
I'm not qualified.
And those that aren't insiders would quickly become insiders.
Yeah, trust me.
Because they're like, I want to say in this.
Preaching to the choir on that one.
Right.
So this is a 12-minute video. So let's get this going before he jumps on.
That's good. We're just gonna chill and watch it.
Hold on.
We got a little video. You can help me with his name. Maybe somebody in the chat will say this. So it would be spelled the same. We still screw it up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to mess it up anyway. All right. Let's see if maybe we get some clarity on this one. All right, guys. So
this is a good video.
Yeah. Oops.
This is a federal jury
and I'll leave the mics on.
Appears to have found that the FBI entrapped people in a matter involved in an alleged plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan. The FBI appears to have contrived the plot, used its informants to draw people into the plot, and provided logistical and financial support to what was, in effect, an FBI operation. You had a lead informant, a guy named Big Dan, who was paid $54,000 over 6 months to pretend to lead a fake militia.
Big Dan.
To recruit
it's a great militia name.
Disadvantaged and unstable men from a Facebook discussion group. FBI paid travel expenses for people involved, food, even alcoholic beverages to take the targeted folks to a militia conference out of state. There were more than a dozen FBI informants involved in the process, undercover FBI agent, several of them, one of whom purported to teach how to make a bomb. Is that the kind of conduct that DOJ and FBI are engaged in pursuing domestic terrorism matters?
Given that it's an ongoing case, I simply can't comment on any of the questions you've asked.
Well, it's not ongoing as to two defendants. They've been acquitted by a jury. I understand that DOJ has decided to retry two other defendants, but the evidence is what the evidence has been. That's been public. Don't those revelations impair the credibility of the FBI?
That was former Congressman Dan Bishop in the House Judiciary Committee last Congress. He's now a top official at the Office of Management and Budget in the Trump administration. We have breaking news tonight. President Trump is considering pardons for Barry Croft Jr. and Adam Fox, convicted in 2022 for plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Trump described their prosecution as a, quote, railroad job, suggesting that they may have been unfairly targeted.
I did watch the trial. It looked to me like somewhat of a railroad job. I'll be honest with you. It looked to me like some people said some stupid things. You know, they were drinking, and I think they said stupid things. But I'll take a look at that.
Trump's newly appointed pardon attorney, Ed Martin, is reviewing these cases, likening them to January 6th defendants. Defense attorneys argued that Croft and Fox were influenced by FBI informants who played very significant roles in developing the very plot that these two nitwits were charged with. Defense attorneys argued that the very idea to kidnap Governor Whitmer was introduced and encouraged by FBI informants. One informant, Dan Chappelle, reportedly encouraged the plan even when the participants hesitated and wanted to withdraw from the scheme. Adam Fox, described as the mastermind, lived in the basement of a vacuum repair shop, as all masterminds do, I guess. He was characterized by peers as lacking any leadership qualities or tactical skills.
I live in an attic of a
vacuum. Look at that guy.
Raises real questions about his ability to orchestrate such a complex operation without some sort of external governing influence. An appeals court ruled that entrapment evidence was wrongly excluded, but still upheld the convictions anyway. Stephen D'Antuono, who led the FBI's Detroit field office during the Whitmer investigation, was later promoted to head the Washington, D.C. field office, overseeing the January 6th Capitol riot probe. Isn't that interesting? His involvement in both high-profile cases has drawn a lot of attention from critics questioning the FBI's methods. Joining us now, Republican candidate for Attorney General of Michigan, Kevin Kijewski. So, Kevin, what do you think really happened in this alleged plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan?
I think that when you take a look at all these people that were accused, they were very frustrated and really essentially fed up with what the governor was doing during COVID. The president even said himself that perhaps they were maybe blowing off some steam. But also, I think perhaps we actually have a little bit of an entrapment issue. And I think that's why the president wants to take a deep look into this.
Do you think the president should pardon these two individuals who were convicted by a jury?
I think that maybe a few other things need to happen. First, when it comes to Pam Bondi, in addition to Kash Patel, perhaps they can take a look and see what the Attorney General was doing here. The Attorney General here has been awful, and she has wrongfully prosecuted many different people. And perhaps she has been conspiring with the US DOJ during the Biden administration to bring forward these sham prosecutions in a lot of different areas. So it could be a conspiracy against rights. I think that investigation needs to happen. Depending upon the results of that investigation, and if it shows that perhaps there is prosecutorial misconduct, then
these individuals, and then observing when they crossed the line into criminal conduct, the federal government was actually inspiring these otherwise ne'er-do-well nitwits to believe that they had hatched this plot. Do you believe this plot was indeed hatched by the two defendants in the case, or do you believe the plot was hatched by the federal government and then somehow mentally inseminated into these individuals who are now in prison?
it really sounds like this was something that was kind of conjured or cooked up by the federal government at the time, or various bad actors within the federal government. And that's really the problem here. I do think that an investigation perhaps would show that there was a conspiracy against rights. Again, that's a 10-year federal felony. And perhaps when we take a look at all of this, these individuals should seriously be considered to be pardoned. But at the same time, perhaps there should be these particular federal criminal charges that could be brought against bad actors, both at the federal government and perhaps at the state government level.
Do you believe this case is bigger than the facts? Do you think it's tied to anything else that we're seeing play out in the powers of the federal government and how they interact with various individuals?
You know, honestly, I think it's all about one word: lawfare. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in this particular case. What we see with the alternate electors that are being charged here in Michigan. You can take a look at this time and time again with COVID. You see a lot of different actors here in the state of Michigan. If you don't fall into line with their political views or their ideology, they're going to be coming after you. And who's going to be next, right? Could be you, could be anyone. And that's not what we need to have here in the state of Michigan, or frankly, any state here across the United States. It just needs to end.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you make about pattern recognition, that in some places, if you see conduct develop, that conduct can metastasize into other investigative matters or other policy matters. A lot of people are concerned that the very person who ran the investigation we've been talking about in Michigan, Mr. D'Antuono, then ends up in Washington, D.C., running the January 6th investigation. You talked about the alternate electors matter. Do you think that there's a role for the federal civil rights division or the federal government in stopping some of these state-based actions that involve concerns about the 2020 election?
110%. I'm going to give you a very quick thing that your viewers can look at, and it's been out there for a little bit of time. The current Attorney General of Michigan, Dana Nessel, there was an undercover video taken of her talking to a liberal group in California, where she says two things. First, regarding the alternate electors, that they were brainwashed and they truly believed everything that they were doing. If that's the case, that gets rid of the specific intent prong of all the different crimes that they're being charged with. And second, she actually said that as when it comes to the alternate electors, she was charging them in Ingham County. That's where Lansing, the capital, is located, because it's a very, very Democratic county and jurors would convict. And then when we take a look at these individuals, the state cases, I think there were 6 or 7 of them, the prosecutions that happened over here in the various counties on the west side of the state. She said that those that were exonerated or found not guilty, well, that's because it was a Republican county and because of Republican jurors. I can't imagine, Matt, anyone across Michigan, yet alone any other state in the United States, that thinks that that is a good thing to do. And I really believe it shows political animus. So I'm calling on Pam Bondi and also the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. DOJ. Please come take a look at these cases here in Michigan, because this shows nothing other than prosecutorial misconduct and an abuse of discretion of the Office of the Attorney General.
It's so important, and it's not just happening in Michigan. I know that General Bondi and Harmeet Dillon and Leo Terrell, these are some of the most terrific people we could have in government, and they got a lot on their plate. But there are state actions underway right now regarding the 2020 election that fit squarely within our understanding of lawfare, just like you mentioned. And whether it is the prosecution of Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani still underway in Arizona, whether it's what you've described in Michigan, where people who believed they were acting under the color of law, who had no intention of breaking the law or harming our republic, they thought they were helping, those people shouldn't be facing any sort of criminal process or conviction or sentence. And I just have to ask you a political question about how all this plays out in Michigan. Mostly we wanted to talk about the law, but Michigan was the blue wall state that President Trump won by the narrowest margin in 2016. Then, we know what happened in 2020 and 2024. We saw Democrats most optimistic about their chances in Michigan, but President Trump prevailed in the state yet again. What do you think is the winning coalition of voters to win statewide in Michigan? And can it be a durable, reliable state for Republicans going forward?
I think moving forward, it absolutely can be a reliable state, as long as when it comes to the state GOP, we're able to unify 4 really good candidates that can win elections. 110%, I believe that. And what is the winning coalition? It's not just getting people from the GOP, but you could take a look all the way going back to the 1980s in Macomb County, the Reagan Democrats. These were traditional blue-collar workers that voted Democrat all their life, and they didn't want to actually have the same old, and that's why they voted for Ronald Reagan. Fast forward to today, these same type of individuals, they are voting for Trump. Why? Because they're on the right side of all these 80-20 issues. They don't want to see our country go to hell as it relates to foreign trade and, tariffs not being there to protect our workers. What they want to do, all of these people across Michigan, is just to live simple, healthy, safe lives. And if they're going to be doing that, and they want to do that, they're going to continue voting for Trump. And they're not going to be going for woke prosecutors, woke governors, and frankly, other individuals that are trying to undermine what it means to be a Michigander, yet alone, of course, a U.S. citizen.
You've got a wonderful state, and we hope that you can save it. Kevin Kijewski's right.
I haven't seen that clip, so I was very. I've seen parts of it.
I just sent it to you this morning.
Yeah. I didn't know Matt Gaetz did a show on OAN.
I didn't know either till it was sent to me. I don't watch OAN as often as I should. And I wonder what Matt Gaetz was up to.
Yeah. Just do Matt Gaetz things.
Matt Gaetz did a wonderful interview there.
No, yeah, he's a great speaker.
Yeah.
In general, yeah, that was a good one.
Kevin
Kijewski.
Kijewski.
I wrote it. Kijewski.
Unless Matt Gaetz was screwing it up.
I don't know. We'll ask him. We'll ask him. I'm sure he'll correct us.
All right. But anyways, we've talked about the alternate electors on this show a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of...
and there's a reason why we don't invite one on, Hank Choate being one of them, is because they don't want to step in a pile of poo.
Yeah, it is an ongoing investigation with it.
It's an ongoing court case.
Court,
now,
yes,
the difference here with Kevin coming on, and, he is running for attorney general and he wants to talk about other things. We're going to let him talk about his campaign.
Yes.
But we will touch upon it. Asking him, he knows what he can talk about, what he can't talk about. He's an attorney.
Yes, yeah.
So, and I'll tell you what, all those alternate electors have wonderful attorneys. I know Hank's attorney is one of the best. He's not a Kevin Kijewski.
Kijewski. Isn't Kevin K.
But he's a wonderful attorney, all of them. And I'll tell you what, these attorneys don't come cheap. I wonder about that. But something that was brought up, and we've got several minutes before Kevin comes in.
You're fine.
That Kevin brought up in that is the fact that this could happen to any of us, and we've talked about this on this show a lot, Kevin. It could happen to me. It could happen to you now, Kevin.
Absolutely.
It can happen to. I'll tell you something locally here. We have a political activist running for city council, Ward 1. I don't politically align with her. Her name's Dina Morgan, and she's very outspoken. And at times you like her because she tells it the way she sees it. And but she's been real critical of the city of Jackson's DEI director. Gosh, why am I forget his name? John Willis.
Yep.
And to the point where John Willis has put a personal protection order against her. Now, I don't know, maybe she's stalking his home, but it was mostly over Facebook post and preventing her from going to meetings that he would be at.
That's law. I mean, that's lawfare on its own.
It's a small scale. He's a county commissioner.
Yeah.
And now there's a PPO against her. She can't even attend the county commission meeting, technically. So in a way, it's a small scale, but in local lawfare.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's small scale, but it isn't. It's the exact same lawfare. It's just not national news.
Yeah, well, she's
but
not.
It's bigger. It affects us more directly than it does.
If you're
it's big for us.
If you're John Willis and you can't handle the political heat,
then get out of the kitchen.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out. Now, like I said, I don't know the details.
Yeah.
Who knows? She could be crazy and stalking his house and all this. Some reason I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he just didn't. He's part of the MLK CIA corridor thing. and
the
she's
alphabet people.
She was very outspoken about it because she was an advocate for the grocery store at Prospect and MLK, and they moved it.
Yeah,
the plans moved, so she's madder than hell. Matter of fact, she's so mad. Me, I think the grocery store needs to go over here on Cooper, like they're planning the new plan.
I said it on the His Home Jackson show, but I think it's true that you said, actually, we talked about on this show. There's a reason why there's not a grocery store there, because no giant grocers went, that's a good spot for a grocery store.
I know
either of those places.
By the way, your last Hits Home Jackson show, man, was that a great show?
Yeah, John and Will were great.
Will Hastings, what a great show! I'm almost jealous. That is a great show.
John puts together he puts together good topics.
Well, I said it. John Wilson knows more about city and county politics than anybody I've ever met.
Yeah,
But then you throw in Will Hastings. Will's a little newer at it. It's not like he's a newbie. Will's been around a minute, but John's been around decades.
Right.
Being a pain in their ass, which is good. But together, wow.
Yeah, no, those two together, they should have a show together. I'm actually pushing for that.
So John's big problem with any element of a grocery store is it takes government money to develop it and design it and everything to lure a grocery. Why, if you were Kroger or Aldi's, you would just say, hey,
we should just put a
grocery store there. And I get it. John hates that. I dislike it. I'm probably one of those people in the category. That's how we do business now. It sucks.
Yeah, I don't think that that is an excuse. I don't think it's a good excuse.
No, it sucks.
It's not good.
Yeah. It's why are we propping up big business?
I just thought of something. Literally just dawned on me. The whole idea of, because we've been talking about the Hayes Hotel nonstop. We've done it on this show. We've done it on the Hits Home Jackson show, and these developers that come through, and we give them all this money, and they disappear. We don't get anything out of it. What's to stop that from happening with the grocery store?
That's what John did.
Where'd that money go?
When you asked that on His Home Jackson, John went,
where'd that money go? Bye-bye.
Thank you. Please come again.
You're absolutely right. But it just dawned on me. It's like, what's to stop them going 6-8 developers into that?
Oh my God. One and done, I hope. I think we're on number 6 or 8 on the Hayes.
6.
Oh my God.
I think, this is the 6th one.
And I don't know how much money they got up front to get the ball rolling.
$4.5 million.
Okay, out of 6 people. So I don't know. Give me a couple $100K. I'll let you know if I can do be the developer there or not.
Yeah, me and John decided we're going to start our own nonprofit, and we're going to tap into that $50K that's always out there for the government.
So Jimmy owns a lot on MLK. It's a nice little spot, and I don't know why Jimmy hasn't done this. You need to put in an application, say you're going to open a business, and get in on that $50K, and just open a vegetable stand or something.
Or just do what they've already done, and the people that they've issue these grants to haven't done anything.
He bought that on Bax Taxes or something. I'd at least have it for sale, because where his lot is, and there's a couple lots, it's right across from the C store and the laundromat.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I would consider buying it just so I can apply for this grant.
I mean, you had the government. Government's been screwing you around long enough. You might as well get something out of it.
I might be able to. I just thought of this. If you were to buy something like that, you might be able to get the government to give you a grant to buy it in the new program to build up the MLK. Anyways,
start with the $50K. I'd be I got a business plan here. I'm going to sell watermelons in July and August. That $50K is a lot of watermelon.
Yeah, on Sundays.
By the way, there is a guy that sells watermelon at the corner of MLK and Prospect.
Yeah, right at
Hammond Hardware.
Hammond Hardware, and then sometimes they're down at the Domino's.
Best. You ain't buying a watermelon like that at the grocery store.
No.
It is worth the stop and buy that guy's watermelon.
You want a watermelon?
I wonder if he's down there yet. It's probably a little too early.
I was just over there the other day. I didn't see him, so I think it's a little early.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him. Yeah. I want to buy a watermelon that has seeds in it.
Yeah, exactly.
This whole seedless watermelon thing, whenever they created that, it ruined watermelon.
And why haven't they figured that out with other fruits? It's just grapes and watermelon? Like cherries. I love cherries. They haven't figured out how to make seedless cherries?
I haven't had a cherry in a while, so
I have a bag of cherries in my car.
Are grapes all seedless now? Give me some seeds in my grapes.
See, I disagree with that. Because I'm so used to seedless grapes.
Yeah.
I've had seeded grapes, and it ruins my day.
Did you know I seen on Facebook you can buy a yellow watermelon? What's that all about?
You can buy all. Did you know?
Is that genetically altered though?
I think so.
Oh, it's not like grown in Japan or somewhere exotic.
Do you know that
Thailand?
Like the flavor of banana candy, like
Yeah.
banana taffy.
Yeah.
Do you know that bananas used to taste like that?
Oh, did they?
I wonder where they got that flavor from. Bananas went extinct.
So they've slowly changed the
not slowly. Bananas went extinct, and then they're like, oh no. So they created bananas, and now they grow them again, but they changed the flavor.
Apparently, my diabetes doesn't allow me to eat bananas anymore.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat banana.
I mean,
candy
if I'm
either.
gonna die because of a banana,
yeah, apparently.
no. Is Kevin on yet?
No, I'm waiting.
No.
I don't see the thing yet. You'll see it on your
He'll
side
come
too.
in.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
We're writing. We're writing.
But anyways, Hips Home Jackson, great. I also want to throw out there, Stars, Stripes, and Straight Talk with Dave Jones and Chris Baird.
Yeah,
another great show. Now, Kevin, I know you don't like it because they edit. They add up.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just
Right.
I don't like that.
But
Don't get it.
but Chris is on to something. He wants 30-minute shows. He drops on Sundays and Wednesdays. So they record a ton of them.
Yep.
And then he drops them Sundays and Wednesdays. They're 30-minute shows. He puts thumbnails up and stuff, afterwards.
We should have them on.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah.
But they had Nate Edwards on. He's the vice chair of the Jackson GOP. And Nate is such a rock star.
Yeah.
Such a rock star. You know what, Kevin? I went out of my way and well, you got a funny look on your face over
I'm
there.
sorry, John Smith put in the chat. I'm going to take Russ out with a banana. I had made me laugh.
John, what are you doing today?
Yeah. Not.
Guess what? John and I are fielding prank calls from some freak in the middle of the night.
Nice.
I know.
See, they're on to us, guys. We got to stop. Change it up.
Apparently, it started with him. I get a call last night, 11:30. I'm dozing off in bed. I answer it like I just a jerk, right? Oh, hey, you don't know me or whatever, but you got a mole in the Jackson GOP and they're spreading hate and discontent. And I'm like, yes, so?
Okay.
I ain't got nothing to hide. I hope there is a mole.
Have you ever heard of
And he got quiet.
politics?
He got quiet. I says, so there's a Democrat in our group. What are they going to do? Go back to him and say, they're going to try to beat Democrats.
Are they paying dues? Because if they are,
no.
awesome.
By the way, you're all welcome. Bring a check.
Yeah.
But I really have that attitude. We don't talk too much strategy to where I don't care. I don't care who it is. But anyways, he called and I wasn't very friendly. At the end, he says, well, there's some things online talking about Russ's something. And like I said, I was half asleep and I go, yeah, so what's new? And then I go, I tell you what, if you want to be helpful, why don't you send me a link to that online stuff?
Yeah,
And then I in the middle of that, I said, by the way, who's calling? Who are you? And he told me the name, and I don't remember. It sounded somewhat familiar. But anyway, so I wake up this morning to John. John, I don't even know why you're up at that time. I am. You normally are.
Still up, maybe.
Hey, bro, do you getting a call from this person? And next thing you know, John's calling. So we have a stalker out there.
Awesome. I mean, that's rock star status at that point. If you ain't got haters, you ain't doing it right.
Now, John said, this has been a couple of times with John, that old boy has mentioned his daughter.
Oh, see,
so that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's calling the crew and find out who that is.
Yeah,
I was going to blow it off, not care, but that's a problem right there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if he brings up any of your sons, make sure he brings up me, and then I'll handle it from there. Maybe this guy will call up and talk shit about my youngest son Matt. Yeah. Well, I don't think I told you. So long story short, I had this lady try to blackmail me over actually very similar to a situation we both know about where I worked. And it was like, well, what if I tell your family? And I was like, my family knows I'm an idiot. Like, you can't impress them. And they're like, what about your podcast fans? I'm like, all 20 of them? They all know I'm an idiot.
what was it?
But people are dumb. If you're gonna blackmail them, at least come at me with something, and you can't.
Yeah, that's my thing.
I'm an open book.
you
You
know,
watch my other show.
Everybody's
you know I
got some sort of skeletons in their closet, but sure I do. I'm not running around going to tell everybody about some, but you know what? I really don't care.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there that doesn't matter.
Honestly, I'm the same way, except my closet literally is wide open.
If you were to ask, I would just tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, of course, there's always something at my age where you
forgot to mention that, but yeah, that happens.
at my age, there's always something you're like, yeah, I prefer people not to know that.
Oh, I forgot.
But it's not like some big secret or something.
And it's always something stupid. You're like, oh, I forgot about that. It was never a big deal. Like, I would tell everyone.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So anyways, I chalked it up, no big deal. And I'm the John's losing sleep over it over there. But yeah, if he brought up his daughter in conversation, that's a problem.
That's inappropriate. Don't play that.
That's the Hillsdale crew you're messing with there, man. They got pickup trucks and guns, and
they've already got holes dug. I've seen them.
They even got bloodhounds.
Yeah.
They could track you down.
Yeah. They'll find you.
Yeah, and they're computer savvy. They'll figure it all out.
Yeah, one or two of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You think Dog the Bounty Hunter or something? Get them all riled up down there.
And the thing is Elon launched that the Starlink or the StarNet or whatever, so they can actually get internet down in Hillsdale now. So.
Do you know them Hillsdale guys started using AI before us Jackson guys?
I don't know.
John Rutan uses. Yeah. I'm like, what?
It took me a long time to.
Don't underestimate the Hillsdale people. Do not do it.
No. They're ruthless and they're petty. So I love you guys. I do love those guys, but I'm glad I'm friends with them.
I do this all the time. I almost said, John, why don't you join us for the interview today with Kevin Kijewski?
Well, I mean, normally.
Where is Kevin? It's 2:37. I'm going to have to text him or something.
I'm double checking. I don't see his. He doesn't request to be in the room yet. So
one of these days, I'm going to have the phone number to the state attorney general.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
No, not really.
Well,
it really does.
It doesn't really do anything. He's a good lawyer, though. Well, I forgot last week. We know you forgot last week, John. We've you hurt me, and now we have to rebuild our relationship. Thank you. Anyway, well, Russ is figuring that out, guys. I want to remind y'all.
I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, let alone text and do a podcast. So
you go ahead and handle that, because I got to remind everybody to follow this channel if you're not already. Like this stream. Like our Facebook, we need to get up to 100 followers. Otherwise,
do we need that?
We're close. I think we're at 60 something, aren't we?
I watch Rescue Michigan every Sunday, and I tell you the truth, I really don't know why anymore. I don't know. He usually brings out something newsworthy that I can use.
Yeah.
But he always talks about how he's never on Facebook, never this, never. He doesn't like Facebook, but he responds to the Facebook comments on his stream before he does Rumble or any of the rest of them.
I'm betting that his viewership on Facebook, that's why I hate Facebook. That's why streamers use Facebook, because a lot of people have.
They're there.
It's the same reason why I'd go on Twitter, but I'm not going to give Elon $8 a month to go live on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elon.
And we can pay for the live on Facebook too. Can you pay?
No, you have to have 100. You just got to have 100 followers.
So I checked the other day. I think we're at 46.
Are we at 46? I must be at 60 some on the other one. But so we're getting
Come
there.
on, people.
Don't make me buy followers. I will.
But I tried to tell him on the last stream we had. He just texts back. So I will be shortly. I'm sorry. Oh.
Okay, so we're
something about his laptop, blah, 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 blah.
Just a holding period.
Yeah.
All right. We understand.
Yeah, we get it.
We were on time today, which is an anomaly.
If you please like that, it's not how you like some page and you're like, God, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, you know what? I post 3-4 things a week. I usually upcoming show information, so it's not going to hog up your news feed by any means with stupid shit.
And I post on there maybe once a month.
And if you remember, Kevin, 6 months ago, I thought maybe we'd turn that into a grassroots army news type of thing. No, we're not going to do that. No. By the way, that's too much work. I manage.
Yeah, 47 followers. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for everyone. It's down in the description as well, guys.
I manage 4 Facebook pages.
Oh, well.
When I was running for...
Those are rookie numbers. Get those numbers up, boy.
But let me tell you, it's a pain in the ass.
I know.
What's the hard one I like the most is the Jackson GOP Facebook page.
Yeah.
I like that page the most. Matter of fact, I go through its news feed more than I do my own. But I try not to allow debate on there. I use it just to promote issues. And lately, there's been a lot of debate. I think something happened the other day. There was a small amount of debate, and I
Mhm.
didn't delete them. Normally, I'll go on and just delete the debate. It's not a debate page, in my opinion. Maybe the next chair will look at it differently. I'm just here to promote events, or sometimes on the Jackson GOP page, I will share a link to Grassroots Army or something where they had a good interview, but no, I managed 4 pages, and it's not easy. And they're easy pages, but that's a lot to do. You're always clicking and back and forth, and
That's why people that have huge pages have social media people.
yeah, several admins and stuff. I think Chris is.
Russ is into the conservative because he's shutting down free speech.
Someone said that.
Oh, John just said that.
Somebody said that in the comments. I had an issue cooking last month.
Oh,
Yeah, and I told them in a group chat with some of my members that I don't do debate on there. And I think it was that. Could be something worse. And they're like, "You're shutting down free speech." No, yeah, it's my page.
yeah.
Well, it's not my page, really. I inherited it. It's been around. The Jackson GOP Facebook page has been around since the beginning of Facebook, I think. I've just inherited it, so it's my page until I'm no longer the chair. Or until I give it to someone else.
Right.
But yeah, other big pages have admins, which gets messy too.
Well, big pages, like a celebrity page per se. A celebrity never looks at that page.
No,
It's a social media person.
I think a lot of these people that are running for public office, for governor, things like that, they'll create a Facebook page. You ever notice high profile politicians as such? They're not down with social media, but their people do it.
Mhm.
I don't think Tim Wahlberg manages his Tim Wahlberg rep page.
No, and that not to mention it's like
Now he has a personal page. I think he does use it, but yeah, their guys do that.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to point out. So John said that you're shutting down. You're not conservative. That you're shutting down free speech. But now he's saying that. But he's a flip flopper because he says, "Oh, I'm just playing. It's just not a platform to debate." So
It is what you want to make out of it. I did allow a little bit of debate last week. Let's see. Okay, looks like the laptop is turning back on. I'll be logging in momentarily.
okay, awesome. By the way, I found a YouTube video on how to pronounce his last name. I don't know if it's the correct way, but hold on. Go ahead.
The hell was that?
I don't know.
Kevin, what gets me about that, Jackson's
Jackson.
got a large a Polish community.
Yeah.
And you even got the king of Polacks that was in your family.
Yeah.
And so we're not unfamiliar with Polish names.
No.
But I do struggle with them if they don't start with a Mick or
Kevin-
Irish names and stuff
Kevin
like
needs to change his last name. I've thought about that often. I know you're not talking about me, but
that. Yeah.
that's John. Let's see, where's my thing at? I'm gonna see. Yep, whenever he pops in, you'll see it on your screen too, Pops. It'll pop up at the top of the screen, so
All right.
you'll know. Anyways, we're just in a holding pattern.
Yeah, so yeah, and everything from psycho stalkers. You know what? By the way, John, I think I'm going to. Why didn't I just call the number this morning? I was up at 6:30. He called me at 11:30. I'll just call his punk ass back at 7:30. But I think I'm gonna be nice to him next time and say, "Hey, buddy, what's your name again?" So I get the name.
If you really want to screw with him, just let me know. Give me his number. I have degenerates that watch my morning show.
Yeah,
that have nothing to do all day.
I will forward
my
you the
will.
number.
Like they will push my will.
So
they will make him change his number. The last time I did that, the person got 326 missed calls in 8 minutes. They had to change their own number.
Here's the problem.
Change their number.
He come at it as if he's trying to be helpful, but you could tell that he wasn't.
Yeah. There's ill intent.
Ill intent.
What's the term? Bad actor. He's a bad actor.
I think so.
I think he's a bad actor.
And I thought that when I talked to the guy in the middle of the night, and then of course when John called this morning, I knew something was up.
Yeah, he's a bad actor.
Yeah. I hope he comes to the meeting. He's welcome. $12. We got
get some pizza.
We got Kevin Kijewski as our Under the Oak Speaker
the
Series.
future Attorney General
of Michigan.
Yeah.
That's right. The great state of Michigan. This is a great state.
It really is. It was a younger person too, like in early 20s, talking about like Michigan sucks. I'm like, It really doesn't.
It really doesn't.
I mean, but,
if you want action, you can get action
Yeah.
real easy. If you want to just be kick back and
Yeah.
relax in a rural setting, it's everywhere. It's everything you need.
it's
You
a
really do.
classic grass is always greener situation. And I mean, I went through it. I mean,
would.
We've all went through it when you're young.
People who live in Texas say this state sucks or whatever, wherever you're at.
yeah.
And they say that about Jackson. Jackson sucks. I don't care. You move to another town, you're
Yeah.
going to have the same problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can
You
move
know,
to Flint.
Jackson,
Move to Flint, see if it's any better.
Battle Creek.
At least you can drink the
you
water
know what
here.
city I don't mind visiting, but I dislike a lot is Lansing.
I
What a
hate
armpit.
driving in Lansing.
What an armpit.
And there's only like one good section of Lansing, and that literally is what we talked about. That road going right straight down.
Yeah,
to the
we got the Capitol on
That's
today.
it. That's it.
You know,
Anywhere you go 2
So,
blocks
but-
outside of there, it's garbage.
you know, it's cool. You know, you got a Lugnuts game, things like that you can go to. But yeah, I don't want to stay.
Oh, we have a Kevin. All right, accept. He should. And Kevin, I don't know if you've used Rumble Studio before, and if you can't hear us, I apologize. But go ahead and at the bottom of the screen, hit the little camera icon and the microphone icon, and you'll pop right up.
Pop up people.
Pop up people. I hate that Rumble Studio makes you do it twice. But yeah, because he's in the room.
Kevin's in love with Rumble Studio though.
Well, Rumble has done me very well.
Yeah, I know. The Rumble guy.
Yeah, I other than this show,
He did have laptop problems getting into
yeah.
this.
Yeah, like I said, if I don't know if you can hear us, but I hopefully you can. Actually, I'll send him a message on the private end. Because it is a pain in the ass with Rumble
It
Studio.
says waiting for host approval.
Okay, he's been approved. Text him and just tell him to click the camera and the microphone button at the bottom of the screen, and he'll pop right on. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
Can you hear us? Oh, you're muted.
You're probably muted, Kevin.
No, he's muted.
No, that's what meant that Kevin.
Oh yeah, that Kevin. That's gonna be confusing. There we go. Oh no, he's still muted. Go ahead and if you can hear me. Oh, there it goes. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me okay now?
Oh,
Yeah,
there
got
we
you.
are.
There we go. Sorry.
All right,
Rumble's a
perfect.
lot of
Sorry
work.
about the technology gremlins in the system, but it's great to be with you guys.
Yeah, great to have you.
Kevin, it's great seeing you. I wish to seen you more often. I wish you were live in the studio, but distance has us.
Well, distance has us for now, but I think I'm going to be there in a few days on the 12th if my memory serves me right.
You are. I've always warned everybody that when I schedule people for our Under the Oak Speaker Series events, that I'd like to try to start getting them on my podcast the Monday before. I don't know. That might ruin it. You could say, hey, I already seen him on the podcast. Why do I got to go to the event? But you really want to see him.
We can start charging for the podcast. I could go Rumble Premium right now.
No, we don't. Kevin, this is all right. We're gonna clear this up right now. And I asked you when I seen you at the Lapeer County Lincoln Day dinner, the correct pronunciation of your last name.
It's Kijewski. It's like chicken Kiev at ski to the end. If you want to say Kijewski too, it really doesn't matter to
You
me
did tell me
because
your wife goes by Kijewski or something when you tried to explain that. So
yeah. So I mean,
right.
she's okay. She's flexible. So am I when it comes to pronunciation of a very difficult Polish last name. So
and I told you this when I seen you in Lapeer. By the way, this is my son Kevin. He does a lot of different podcasts, and we started this a year and a half ago. Do a political podcast, and here we are still popping away. He does all kinds of different podcasts. Of course, I think you met him when you were at our open house.
yes, I did, and I
Yeah.
saw your studio as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before you got on, we played your OAN clip, 12
Okay.
minutes.
Matt Gaetz.
With Matt Gaetz. We played that. My Kevin hadn't seen the whole thing yet. I just sent it to him this morning. I had seen it maybe a week ago or a few days ago, and then you sent it to me this morning. So we've already played that. And, you know, it hits home to me pretty well because I'm pretty close to one of the alternate electors. And I liked how you, with Matt Gaetz, that interview, how that got all tied into that. So, you know, we'll hit upon that. But first of all, introduce yourself and explain who you are, why you're running, and what you want to do, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. So my name is Kevin Kijewski. I'm an attorney here on the east side of the state in Oakland County. I've been a lawyer for roughly about 15 years. The reason why I want to be attorney general is not because I originally wanted to do this for a heck of a long time. I'm doing this so I'm able to help restore the state. There are three things I really want to do, and there are a whole bunch of items underneath each one. But first, it's really to restore our sense and our real security here in Michigan, because crime has been going up and up over the past 8 years. Second, I want to restore our freedoms because we know that when it comes to the alternate electors, or if you take a look at the Fednapping controversy, or if you take a look at COVID and those draconian lockdowns, we got to make sure we remain free. And then third, I want to make sure that we restore our faith in government and the integrity in our elections, because everyone I talk to, including a number of Democrats, and there's quite a few Democrats on this side of the state, they do have questions about the integrity of our elections. So because of those three things I want to do, and frankly, the support of lots of people across the state, that's why I'm running for Attorney General, because freedom's not negotiable, and we have to make sure that we are going to remain free.
Awesome.
Very
Kevin,
commendable.
Kevin, separately from the Matt Gaetz interview, and you just mentioned it just a minute ago, and that's the fight during COVID of the lockdowns, and I'll say a little bit about you. You spent a short period of time as the superintendent for Detroit Catholic Schools, correct?
Yeah, so I was the superintendent of Catholic schools for the Archdiocese of Detroit, and that happened during COVID. So I oversaw roughly almost 90 schools, 30,000 kids, 3,000 employees. That was a privilege and an honor to do that. My law degree and my law training really helped me to help deliver the education to all those kids during that time. But as well, we fought the governor and we won in late 2020, because of course in early 2020 the governor shut down all the schools. We didn't know what was going on, and I could give her a little bit of a pass. But fast forward in 2020 to November, she wanted to shut down all of the high schools, claiming that there was an exigent circumstance, an emergency circumstance. The high school kids were super spreaders. And I also was the vice chairman of MANS, which is the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. So that's like all the Catholic schools, all the Protestant schools, all the other private schools out there. It's an interest group. We're all together. And I was the only lawyer on that particular executive board. And I'm like, well, we're going to sue. And we did.
Yeah.
And not even a month later, we had arguments already in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Michigan. We were about to get a temporary restraining order on the governor that was going to be very, very favorable to us, and more so all the kids across the state. And instead of taking the L, instead of taking the loss, which was coming to her, she decided, and I get it, political wise, this is probably a smart thing to do. She had an impromptu press conference 2 or 3 or 4 hours before actually the TRO was going to be handed down, likely by the district court. And she said the science and the evidence have changed. And I'm just like, the science changed that quickly? The evidence changed that quickly? I know what changed. You are about to lose, and you don't want to lose your power.
Right.
And the thing about government is that it's not about trying to have or wield power. It's about trying to use it responsibly. And unfortunately, she wanted to have a stranglehold on government to shut down schools, to shut down businesses, to shut down restaurants, to shut down nursing homes. So the loved ones that all of us had, whether they're a great aunt, uncle, parent, grandfather, grandmother, we weren't able to see them. And we got to make sure that we actually handle things more appropriately when it comes to our government. And we make sure that no one's going to be abusing their power. So that's another reason why I'm doing this too.
Just to add something there, Mike Kevin here, he was in the restaurant business at that time.
Yep.
And, what a tough time to be in that.
It was a roller coaster. I mean, and it's all, I guess, conspiracy in a way, but like we shut down the day before St. Patrick's Day, one of the biggest bar restaurant days of the year. And I went through the second shutdown too in November that year. Luckily, I've never not had a job, so I went out and got a job as soon as we got shut down, and that actually disqualified me from any of the sweet state unemployment I could have got, because if I would have quit my job, then I wasn't qualified. And so instead of making that $900 a week sitting on my butt,
I forgot they had sweet unemployment benefits.
Yeah, bartender friends
right.
of mine were making $900 a week
to
sitting
stay
on their
home.
butt.
Stay home, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still not worth our freedoms.
No,
not worth our freedoms.
And too many people accepted it as a strip of our freedoms. Kevin, something that's interesting to me: 3,000 employees with the Detroit Catholic school system, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so that includes, of course, our administrative staff, our teaching staff, in addition to all the other paraprofessionals and other people that you need in order to run the school. Yep.
So the reason why I bring that up is, I think everybody wants an attorney general that's going to fight for our freedom and liberty. And you've been on other podcasts I hope people have watched, and you've talked about that in great extent, and I'm sure we'll touch more upon it now. But in order to run the state attorney general office, you got to have background in pretty big management. Yeah. And so I think that right there is a good example right there.
Yeah, so I mean, just to give your viewers and listeners a little bit of perspective, if you take a look at the Attorney General's office here in the state of Michigan, and you compare it to other law firms, so like Bodman, Dickinson, Wright, all these other firms that maybe attorneys would know, the Attorney General's office, or the Department of Attorney Generals, they like to call it, is the largest law firm in the entire state. Wow. Because they represent the governor, they represent the Secretary of State, they represent the legislature from time to time, they represent all the different state agencies. If the state's going to be sued, they represent the whole entire state of Michigan in court. They prosecute crimes. They do everything. And it's interesting when you take a look at the Attorney General's office too, and I'm not going to go off on Dana Nessel's record quite yet, but you could take a look at when she actually became Attorney General back, not quite 8 years ago, but almost 8 years ago, right, for our purposes here, versus what is happening today. The FTEs, or the full-time employees, basically the headcount, went up by almost 50%.
Oh, that's so what they do.
You could take a look at government just growing in the Attorney General's office, but what has really the typical person here in the state of Michigan experienced in terms of a benefit? Nothing. Yeah. We haven't seen anything other than all these lawsuits going against Donald Trump, which are, in my mind, and that's not because I'm saying this because I'm partial, but really just a fair reading and a look at it. Mm-hmm. They're frivolous. They're just trying, to have her political agenda sort of make herself relevant so that she can try to stymie or try to pause the president. We've seen our taxes go up. We've seen, inflation go up. We've seen all these other terrible things have happened. And what are we getting for it? Nothing. But she needed to increase her employees 50%. So I'm not quite making a pledge exactly a particular number, but I can say that if I do get elected Attorney General, we're going to see our employee numbers go down. And I'm not going to use the term Doge because of what's going on between Donald Trump and, of course, Elon Musk. But we're just going to right-size the Department of Attorney General so that we focus on real crimes and not imaginary things. We're going to make sure that we get justice for people instead of, for example, like the Flint water crisis, where they just allowed prosecutions to die in the vine and people never see justice. So it's a large organization, and we're going to make sure to right-size it.
So I did not know that and I get, it doesn't surprise me that the Attorney General's office is the largest law firm in the state of Michigan. Something that always bothers me. I believe the state of Michigan is the biggest employer in the state. And then
probably,
yeah. And now you got growth of the Attorney General's office. I've said this before on this show, Kevin, you might like it. Years ago in the township that I'm a trustee in now, and I wasn't a trustee then, we were going through marijuana dispensaries and all that stuff. And we were going through recalls of people, and our meetings would last 3-4 hours, long meetings, everybody mad at one another. And I made a comment. I'm like, maybe we should meet twice a month so these meetings aren't so long. And I had an old time Republican person that I so respect, and he says, Ross, the less these people meet, the better off we are.
That's the first thing I ever out of the show,
And
actually.
it's been several years, and I live by that one now. I really do. The growth of government on a township level, and the more they meet, all they can do is screw things up.
Mhm.
In the growth of employment, of state government and federal government just amazes me. I don't know how we'll ever get a handle on it, but I can sit here with a microphone that some people are listening to and complain about it every now and then, you know.
That's the thing. I have something to say about that as well. So, two things actually. So, the Attorney General's office is the largest law firm in Michigan. Is that typical for most states, or is that more exclusive to Michigan? Or
Typically, they're one of the larger employers of attorneys in a state, but it's not typically the largest.
Okay.
For example, you could take a look at, I don't know the statistics for the state of New York, but
right,
I'm fairly certain that you have law firms that might be larger than, in terms of total number of attorneys,
yes,
than the number of attorneys in the state attorney general's office or Attorney General James' office or whatever her name is over there in New York. So it's not typical, but I feel like we need to not be the largest employer of
Yeah.
attorneys. I think that
Yeah.
it needs to be more so in private industry, and that we focus on the core critical things that an attorney general should do. Number one, fighting crime. Number two, consumer protection. Number three, making sure that the civil rights and the freedoms of our folks are protected. And number four, I mean, it should be, sacrosanct. It shouldn't have to be explained, but I think it's worth mentioning here, making sure that our faith in government and the integrity of our elections are going to hold true. Because unfortunately, we haven't had that over the past 8 years.
Mhm.
I'm not getting into 2020. I'm not getting into 2024 per se. But what I am saying is that there has been a lot of smoke that the Attorney General's office has not been really investigating. When you have foreign Chinese students from the University of Michigan voting,
Right.
they only get caught because they turn themselves in.
And that
Because
and now
they
they
have Sherlock Holmes finding this person. And then you have, of course, our wonderful Secretary of State that says 15 non-U.S. citizens voted in the last election. I'm not going to tell you how I found out or where they voted or anything else. And I'm just like, you're leaving me hanging with this. If I were Attorney General and I heard this, I would actually be like, knock, knock on Jocelyn Benson's door. What's going on? Hopefully I can help her out. And if we can't get any type of collegiality, then I would institute an investigation, and probably a criminal one too, to see what the hell has been going on. I don't mean to swear on your show, but I mean, we got to fix all this.
That's not a problem.
You should hear us when we don't have a candidate for Attorney General on this show.
Me too, right?
All right.
And that actually is a perfect segue into the second thing. You would mention that as Attorney General, you are you represent the state of Michigan, the governor, the doing actually
The people.
Yeah, the people. But so my question is, Russ sent me a couple clips just to kind of prepare for the show, and you were talking about looking into and potentially prosecuting could be people in the state government, whatever, for wrongdoings. So where does that fall if you're the Attorney General, but you're prosecuting, let's say the former attorney or the former Attorney General, the governor, where does that fall in? Like as far as like problems, you're prosecuting them and you're representing them. You see does that make sense?
Well, here's what I can say for sure. We have a brand new slate that's coming up in 2026.
I think about that.
All of the elected officials that are going to be selected are going to be completely brand new. So there's not going to really be a conflict. If there would be hypothetically a conflict, then there are ways that we have mechanisms to get around that.
Okay.
And then we appoint special people or whatever else. But that luckily will not be a conflict.
Okay. Yeah,
It'd be no different. It'd be no different than maybe like right now. And again, the prior Speaker of the House, Lee Chatfield, he's actually on trial right now, and I don't really know a lot about it, but by the Attorney General's office for spending, campaign finance funds on, let's say, adult entertainment things. That's at least what I read about in the news, right? So you have to go where the evidence brings you, right?
Right.
So what I would do is investigations into whatever
Mhm.
needs to be investigated, such as election integrity, such as the weaponization of government,
Mhm.
such as waste, fraud, and abuse regarding particular government programs. And I'm not going in there with a preconceived notion that I want to charge or I want to throw anyone into jail or anything like that. Absolutely not. I want to make sure that we're able to fix things and we don't have these problems repeat themselves. But during the course of that investigation, if we do find criminal wrongdoing, then people have to be held accountable. And it doesn't matter if those individuals happen to be Republicans
Yeah.
or Democrats. I represent the people of the state of Michigan.
So
I
let
may
me
happen to be a Republican, but I need to represent all people.
I'll catch Kevin up briefly here on what you just said. Lee Chatfield is our former Republican
Speaker. Yeah.
House Speaker, and I don't know if he resigned or something, but anyways, he's got himself in a pile of poo. Republican, and but my point here is you need an attorney general that will, if there's actual crimes
Yes.
with that, then you need an attorney general
Yeah.
to go after them regardless of where that's at.
Yeah, that was my question. I just didn't know if there was a conflict of interest. But then once you were talking, it made me think that's where you hear the term special prosecutors. But you see New York. You mentioned. I heard it a lot in the news. So I kind of answered my own question, but you did as well. So I just was curious about that, and it kind of leads into the question of also, we hear it from every politician. We're going into like, hey, we're going to prosecute, or we're going to at least investigate the former administration, and then it never happens.
Nobody goes to jail.
Yeah, no one goes to jail. No, not even a slap on the wrist. It just goes away. But you had mentioned, die on the vine thing, and I think that you're aware of that, and I think that I'm hoping it'll be different.
And I could tell you this regarding the way that I operate, and as Michigan's next Attorney General, it will be a lot different than what you typically see. I mean, let me just say something, not to talk about the federal system too much, but as a way of trying to compare and contrast.
Yep.
So you have Kash Patel, and then you have Don Bongino, all with the FBI. They're doing their investigations, and then once their investigations are done, then they turn everything over to the Attorney General or Pam Bondi.
Right.
And then their system takes a little bit longer than ours, because when you take a look at this whole thing to try to bring charges, you actually have to do a federal indictment. So that means a federal grand jury. It just takes longer. Here in Michigan, it's not as long, it's not as tedious, and it won't be, I would say, too bad for us. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we have a wonderful legislature, at least when it comes to the House. The Republicans.
I'm loving them right now.
Republicans are certainly doing some great investigatory work right now, including but not limited to, of course, election integrity and also the weaponization of government. They're subpoenaing documents. They're getting lots of testimony. And that information is not going to be for naught. Inevitably, if I do become the next Attorney General of the state of Michigan, I'm going to be like, thanks, ladies and gentlemen, give it to me. And then we're going to sort of start from where they generally left off. So number one, the investigation time is going to be kind of truncated. And number two, once we find criminal wrongdoing of whomever or whatever needs to happen, it's not that it's going to be, we have to go in front of a grand jury. It's going to be, okay, we're going to actually directly charge these individuals. So that takes a little bit less time too. So I can say this, if we have an investigation that's complete, the investigation is complete within, let's say, I'm just making up a hypothetical, no promises or anything, but like within the first 6 months I'm there, I can very well see charges being lodged or brought or filed, whatever word you want to use, within certainly in the first year that I would be in office. And I anticipate, by the way, going back to the federal system, you're going to see the same thing happen there. Even though it does take longer, I mean, Donald Trump has not been in office for not even 150 days-ish or 100 or 200 days.
Just had the 100-day celebration or whatever.
Yeah. And then Pam Bondi as well. I mean, she hasn't even been there the entire time as well as Trump has, right? So I give them a little bit of leeway, but I understand that people want accountability, and I'm ready to deliver that. But in order to make sure that I'm able to deliver that faithfully and execute the oath of office that I'm going to be taking hopefully in January 1st, 2027, I have to do a thorough investigation, because if I don't, then, perhaps like in the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court, they could overturn things, which we absolutely don't want.
And then we're having that same issue of, dies on the vine or whatever, and everybody kind of forgets it. And that's something I think everybody's trying to avoid.
Kevin, going back to lawfare or that lens of it, I being close to an alternate elector, and I know more than half of them now. I've met them all, and I always think about how severe it is to try to threaten a person or prosecute a person and have them staring at 30 years in prison when you're 70 years old or whatever, for something,
for forging your own name.
Right. Can we go after real criminals here? And then and it really bothers me. I just think about those poor people, and it needs to be geared elsewhere. Eliminate the lawfare and just go after the law. Just this normal guy thinking here. And I just, we got to, I think some prosecutors forget. I get you want accountability, but to lock somebody up for 30 years for those types of crimes is unbelievable to me. I mean, you take the Ryan Kelly situation. We've had Ryan here at the Jackson GOP. We've had Ryan on the show. Ryan's a good friend of mine. And I think about the drive to his family. And he had to get in the car at 2 a.m. and drive to Wisconsin to turn himself in for 60 days.
For misdemeanor trespassing.
And I'll tell you what, Ryan, now that the shackles are off him, he's got even more information. But I think really you put that beautiful family in this person. I'm not even worried about Ryan. I think about his family and him and his wife driving to Wisconsin and turn himself in for 60 days in a federal prison.
Over Christmas.
Over Christmas is the worst. And the damage done to the children over something like that is just amazing to me. That's my little rant.
Well, if I may comment about that a little bit, I mean, justice needs to be administered in proportion to whatever the criminal offense is. And I think everyone generally knows that. It's common sense. I take a look at these alternate electors, and I won't get way into it. But what they did, whether people like it or not, and people can have different opinions, and I mean this, I would say the same thing if these Republican alternate electors were Democratic or Democrat alternate electors. What they did was not a crime. And I'm going to repeat that. What they did was not a crime. You even have the Attorney General of Michigan, Dana Nessel herself, that was recorded talking to a Democratic political group in California somewhere. And she said that all of these alternate electors, all of them were all brainwashed, and they truly, truly believed that Donald Trump won the election. Okay, so the Democratic Attorney General of Michigan said that. If that's true, and she said it herself, so it must be true, right? Then there's no crime, because any type of crime of deceit, dishonesty, but specifically here, forgery, uttering and publishing, it's called a specific intent crime. You must have the specific intent to deceive someone.
Right.
So if you don't have that, then there's no crime. But she said exactly her theory of the case. It's just perplexing. And I remember when this came out, not quite 2 years ago, but not that long ago, you had Democrats and Republicans. This was on CNN, on the Detroit News, everywhere.
Huge.
And they're like, why would she say something like that?
Yeah.
And I have the answer why.
Oh, boy.
Because she believes it, and this shows this is lawfare. And you know what lawfare is, the way I describe it to everyone when I talk to groups or I talk to individuals? The punishment is actually going through the process. That's what it is.
And
you have people
all the times.
You have people, not my client in particular, because I consider myself to be a fair attorney, right? But you have people that are paying their attorneys north of $250,000 so far for defense.
I know.
Wow.
And it's wrong, and we got to stop it.
Kevin, we've talked about this on the stream before too. I am extremely politically active, and I think you've known that in the short time we've known each other. And I'll tell you what, if I had the honor to have been one of the electors, I would have signed that document with them. And when the alternate electors lawfare began, and other things had been happening, my wife and I sat at, and I hate the term kitchen table, but it was literally at our kitchen table, talked about, and at the time I had people threatening to sue the Jackson GOP over some decisions I had. The party was a mess at the time. Thankfully, that's behind us. But we had that discussion about, should I get out? How far should I go in? Yes, I would have signed that document. I would have been in that same point. I don't have $25,000 for legal representation. It would destroy my wife and I's future retirement and everything. We had this discussion about getting out, me getting out, because we didn't want to, encounter that kind of lawfare. It could happen to any of us. Now, we never came to the decision. We never said, okay, we're going to do this. We just walked away from the kitchen table, and I just keep doing what I do. I'll never stop. But that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted guys like me, people like me, men and women across the state, to not be those fighters.
It was meant to be a scare tactic.
But I will say this. I don't think it worked.
I think it's worked in certain cases. It didn't work with you, but I think it did work in certain cases, and that's unfortunate.
I've seen it grow, though, Kevin. I've seen the movement grow. I think maybe it backfired on them a little bit, but you know what I'm talking about, Kevin. Is it worked? We had more than one conversation about this. What would I do if I was facing $25,000 or $50,000 worth of legal fees? Even if I won, we're done. I'm just a normal guy here. We're done.
And most of the electors, maybe with the exception of one or two of them, they're of modest, normal means, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a way to scare not just the individuals and punish the individuals that they're going after, but it's also a way to try to send a message to everyone else out there. Don't you dare speak your mind, because if you do, the same thing is going to happen to you and your neighbors and your friends and your family, and you're all going to suffer. Yeah. What do we call that? We call that intimidation. What do we call that? We call that being unethical, and possibly, depending upon the motivation and the intent behind it, and I don't know what it is yet because I haven't been elected, nor have I done an investigation, but possibly could be criminal too.
Thanks for that. It's being close to that situation that was quite a personal thing for me. It really was. But I will say, I was the honored guest of Hank Choate on the Senate floor.
Good gentleman, by the way. I love Hank.
For the 2024 electors, I was with him on the floor, and I think 6 of the electors came back as 2024 electors. And a quick story to that, I thought, I talked to Hank often, but I thought there ain't no way Hank's going to do that again. And I was going to throw my hat in the ring to be an elector. And we were at a meeting here, and I hadn't brought it up yet. And Hank announced that he wanted to be an elector again. I think everybody in the room almost fell out of their chair. we were shocked, and we were so proud. And I'm glad they did that. And I knew a few of them were going to be 2024 electors. I didn't know how many. I just love that didn't scare them off. We're talking true patriots with these 6, and all of them really.
Yeah.
To do it again. I just love that a lot. I was honored to be a guest on that floor. I had a sense come over me of patriotism and being proud. The only thing better could have been the elector.
Right.
It was an amazing thing. Thankfully, we got to do
allowing
that.
Hank to do so. I mean, that's literally him just being him. He would
Yeah.
have done it.
Yeah.
And for viewers that don't know Hank, and again, Hank was not a client of mine, but I
Nope.
got an opportunity to really get to know him because when we had our preliminary examination, it was for an entire week. Okay. I mean, he, is a dairy farmer that generally lives in the same vicinity or the same area as you guys.
Yeah.
Anything that was happening in the courtroom when we had a break or lunch or whatever else, it was, he had a metaphor, comparing whatever happened in the courtroom
Yeah, that's
to
what he
like him
does.
dairy farming. He's like, well, it's like when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and the cow
5.
does this
I
or
think he wakes
whatever.
up at 4.
Well,
Yeah, probably 4 or 3
I was after
o'clock.
his afternoon
That's
nap.
right. 5 o'clock is sleeping in for Hank. But I mean, these are the folks that the Attorney General has gone after. And think about it this way too. It's not like it happened in 2020 and then like 2 months later they were charged. It's not like they did a big investigation that took a year. They charged these people 2 years, not 1 year, 2 years after this alleged criminal incident occurred and it wasn't criminal. And the other thing to note too is that the Ingham County prosecutor, the elected prosecutor in Ingham County, was asked to take a look into this incident. And that elected prosecutor wrote a very good, what we call memorandum of law, basically sort of like a memo or a report. I think it was like 10 or 15 pages, went through all the law, went through all the facts. And it said, there is no crime you can charge these people with. None. No state crimes, right? So you had the Ingham County prosecutor, of course, where Lansing's located.
Yep.
In terms of federal crimes, you didn't have the Eastern District nor the Western District of the federal district courts here in Michigan. The U.S. attorneys, in other words, charged them. So they just sort of were like, well, okay, no one else wants to charge him, so we'll conjure up a make-believe crime and we'll go after them. And we'll file this 2 years later. And they filed it 2 years later, and we're now 2 years into this process. So again, more than 4 years after the election.
For what end? Crime.
I'm glad you reminded me and us of that. I was aware of that and kind of had forgotten. So I'm glad you reminded me how that process led up to that and why we're here now.
I'd forgotten about that. I remember reading about the prosecutor saying, like, oh, I don't see a crime.
Kevin, a couple questions.
Sure.
You talked about election integrity. What level have you worked in election integrity leading up to now, or anything like that? What resume do you have in the election integrity field, if at all?
Yeah, so I haven't done anything in terms of legal work, but in terms of speaking with folks that know what has happened or what transpired back in 2020 and 2024, I've spoken with quite a few folks, everyone from, former Senator Pat Colbeck to taking a look at people that are connected with the Tim Vetter group. So all these folks, they provided a lot of good information. What I do know is that, just from a common sense perspective, taking a look at election integrity, we have more registered voters here in the state of Michigan than actual adults that are of voting age.
How's that work?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I'm not making this stuff up.
No, I believe you.
We have people, and Tim Vetter and other, good individuals that want to get to the bottom of it. They're a hell of a lot smarter than I am. I mean, they're like engineers and whatnot. I'm just a lawyer, but they look at, a lot of the numbers and like, this doesn't make sense. And then they want to get additional information, the QVF, the qualified voter file,
right,
which, without getting into all the nerd stuff or whatever else, is essentially like, okay, these are the qualified voters. Here's their history when they voted, blah, 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 everything else. They try to get information through FOIAs, and then it gets blacked out or it gets sort of, withheld, and they can't do their job. And I get, like, you don't want to show someone's social security number or something like that, for example, just as a quick thing. But I mean, they had big bloody chunks of information that they were said not to been able to be privy to, which is wrong. Yeah. So again, voter integrity, lawsuits I've filed, none. But at the same time, certainly you can say to a certain degree, maybe the elector case right now, there's a lot of that stuff connected to that.
Oh, sure
and
is.
I speak with all the folks that are doing a lot of these investigations, usually on their own dime.
Oh, yeah.
also too, before we wrap up, and you can stick around as long as you want, Kevin, but
Sure, I'm happy to be here as long as you want, because if your viewers want to know more and you want to know more, I'm
I
happy
do
to
see
provide
stuff in
info.
the chat, Kevin.
Yeah, we got John in the chat. He's been he was asking how much will this race cost, 10 to 20 million, and then he said something about welcome to Miami. I don't know what that reference is, but he said it. John Smith. I don't know if you've met John, Kevin. He's fun.
Republican political
Yeah,
activist.
I'll let you describe him, Russ.
Well, John, if you're going to be, in the area, certainly come out on, the 12th when I'll be there. I
I'm
think
sure
that's
he'll be here.
Thursday. Yeah, and then I'm happy to answer a lot of questions. Miami, I've been there a handful of times in my life. I don't know what the reference is.
Yeah,
on
it
that.
says welcome to Miami. Been there, done that, and I'm not sure. That's why I kind of just.
Oh, sure. In terms of the race, what you're really welcome.
Oh,
to
he's talking about welcome to Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes okay.
So essentially, regarding the cost of the race, here's what I've been told by the big political consultants and everything, and I can sort of disaggregate it or parse it out a little bit. So for the 2026 election, which again is historic because it's not just the governor and the secretary of state, the attorney general, and the U.S. Senate seat that's completely vacant, but you have all the congressional seats up, and then you also have the legislature you got to elect.
I'm worried
the whole
about
election is going to be. It's a lot. The whole election, what I was told, is going to be on the low end. It could be 650 million. On the high end, it could be 800 million. With whatever is spent in the aggregate, about 70% of that coming from outside of the state, right?
Oh wow!
So in terms of
And
the attorney,
the entire election, all
that's for everything, right? So
okay.
Right. So to disaggregate that a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers know, but for those that don't, Attorney General and Secretary of State's a bit different than, for example, someone for a Senate seat or for governor.
We talked about that right
It's
from
a
the start.
convention race, and I believe we have. I don't have the exact number here, but maybe you guys know. I think it's like what 2,200 delegates statewide that are going to be inevitably selecting the candidate for Attorney General, Secretary of State. Michigan Supreme Court seats, and then for Wayne State, Michigan, and Michigan State, their particular board of governors or regents or whatever you want to call them. So that convention to nominate those individuals, from what I've been hearing, might be held in February or March. That depends upon what the state party and the chairman wants to do. But going back to the financing of that, to get the nomination, it's luckily not millions of dollars, and usually it's no more than $100,000. What will matter will be after. And after, you're taking a look at probably an aggregate fundraising amount between then and the general election of a few $1,000,000, probably nothing really more than $5 million. And that would be good. Most of the money, though, truth be told, that you're going to see in this election, it's not going to be spent on, even though I think it's an important position, Attorney General, it's going to be spent on the U.S. Senate in addition to the gubernatorial race. Why? Because that's what people vote for. And then they're going to vote, not everyone, but hopefully a lot of people will vote, at least Republicans, straight ticket down. So it doesn't necessarily matter in terms of like someone, as long as they're not crazy, right? But you got a Secretary of State candidate that says, I'm going to uphold the law, and I'm going to make, driver license renewals even easier. I don't know how you do that, but like do stuff like that, then you don't have to spend a ton of money relative to like the other people. So that's how much money you're probably taking a look at.
Kevin, I'm glad you went down that conversation, because that was what I was going to ask. And Kevin and I had a conversation before you popped on of how the Attorney General, Secretary of State, that's primarily what we talked about, how they're elected in the primary situation. There is no primary. The precinct delegates, the Republican precinct delegates of the state will convene. I should know, and I forgot. For some reason, I was thinking that was in August, but that's done earlier in the year, correct? You said maybe February.
Looks like in
so you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So the default is August, because there will be a convention no matter what in August. That will happen. The only question is, will the state GOP or the state party say we're going to have an earlier convention?
Move it, which I've heard them talk about.
Exactly, for a handful of these people. And by the way, I don't know if your viewers know or not, But, it's not just that the state party picks those particular positions I mentioned. They also pick the lieutenant governor
Yep.
nominee.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you have Cox, or you have James, or you have, anyone else, and then they get to pick their lieutenant governor. They kind of probably have some say, but
Yeah, they do.
ultimately it's going to be the delegates that do that. So that particular individual, the lieutenant governor, will probably be picked in August, and everyone else will probably be picked in February, March. But if the state party says we're not doing a nominating convention, which in my mind would be silly because that doesn't help with fundraising for anyone, then inevitably you're going to see it all happen in August. But there will be an earlier convention. I'm fairly certain.
On the surface, I'm in favor of that. I look back at the last election when it was for Supreme Court candidates. So after the primary, we met and we selected Andrew Fink and the judge O'Grady, and there was no time to campaign. They had no money. That process. So I look back at that. I wished we had chosen those candidates earlier so that they could have went at this longer and harder.
Right.
So it's the same concept there. I'll probably have to consider it more, but I'm in favor of that idea. Also, too, I wanted to ask. So since your campaign right now is, you want to talk to anybody and everybody, okay, but you need to target the Republican precinct delegates of the state.
Right.
I kind of have an idea what you're already doing. You're coming to Jackson Thursday, and that's talking to primarily precinct delegates, not all. So how are you handling that? What are you doing to reach the delegates?
Yeah, so I'm going on a little bit of a tour of the state. So as you said, I'm coming to Jackson on Thursday. I've spoken to, not that long ago, the Farmington Hills Republican Club, talking to the Oakland County Republican Club. Actually, I think next week. Already have been to Macomb County. I've been to St. Clair. I've been to Lapeer.
Yeah.
Talking to folks in the 1st Congressional District as well. I'm going to be doing the Lincoln Day dinner, not as a keynote speaker, but attending and speaking for a little bit in Muskegon. I was actually the featured speaker at the Van Buren Lincoln Day dinner, and that was fun 2 weekends ago. So it's really just talking to a lot of these delegates and telling them, frankly, hey, here's what I'm about. Here's what I want to do. And frankly, whoever the governor or gubernatorial nominee will be once the primary is, so it doesn't matter if we're taking a look at, Cox, or we're taking a look at James or Nesbitt or whomever. I want to make sure I'm going to be able to work well with that individual and help support their efforts. I'm not the top of the ticket. I'm just one of the support legs in the stool. So, that's basically what I'm doing. I want to get around. I want to talk to as many delegates as I can. And as well, I'm okay with talking to folks that are not delegates too. And, even my friends and my neighbors, and I live in Birmingham over here in Oakland County, and it's a little bit purple or bluish. But, I talked to my neighbors, even though they had one neighbor in particular had a whole bunch of Democrat stuff up. That's okay. I don't think that they're evil. I just disagree with them, right? But still I'm a nice guy, and they're nice folks too. At least I hope they'll remain that way. I'm sure that they will if they're watching this, But
so I know you had to highly consider this with you with your family before consider running for attorney general. As a practicing attorney, probably a lot on your plate. How do you come to the conclusion that you can break out time and scale back your what's on your plate as an attorney to run around the state and introduce yourself? That's amazing to me. I'm one of the county chairs. I go to a lot of events. There's Todd Gilman, the 5th District Chair, and John Smith. If we can make it, we make it, and we can do that. But that's a lot on your plate to have to run around to this Lincoln Day dinner. All Lincoln Day dinners, by the way, are usually fantastic meals, but you know what? They're all the same, and you kind of get a little tired of them. So,
yeah. Well, I'll put it this way: from prior experience, when I was school superintendent, we had almost 90 schools. And of course, every year I would visit our schools, not every single one of them. You got 90, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But every school visit would be the same. You know, you visit the
Sure.
kindergartners and you're like, oh, these are the cutest kids around. You ask them some questions, and then you move up in the grades. You talk to the administration, you talk to teachers. It's different, but it's fairly similar. And I really love it because, I mean, I learn something new every single time I go to a place. So, for example, when I was in Van Buren County, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like taking a look at their program and I'm like, who has spoken here at the Lincoln Day dinner previously? And you see names like Gerald Ford and Romney. And it's
Well.
like, well, they went downhill with me, but hopefully I can deliver for them, you know? But I mean,
Gotta follow
it's,
that
it's
up.
fascinating talking to all these different people and seeing, you know, the concerns that people have across the state. But I'm going to tell you what, the concerns are generally similar. They really want to know. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in the 4th congressional district, the 5th, the 1st, the 13th, you know, which is like basically Wayne County and whatnot, the 11th where I'm at, or the 10th right next door. They want to know, you know, number one, what did you do during COVID? And I won't repeat the story about how we went after the governor with our lawsuit, but we didn't hide around in our basement, right? Like we actually took the governor to task. Number two, they want to know in terms of the Attorney General's office, what you're going to do regarding election integrity. And I shared my plans about the investigations. And third, they want to know about going after real crimes. And I want to make sure that, again, what happened with the Flint water crisis, where they botched a whole bunch of prosecutions, will never happen again. I want to make sure that we actually are able to lend support to counties across the state, because that's another thing that the Attorney General's office is supposed to do. If you have a local county prosecutor's office they don't have the expertise perhaps, or there's a manpower issue, you can actually loan an assistant attorney general. We are the largest law firm in the state, right? So you should be able to loan some folks to help. And I remember at the same Lincoln Day dinner you and I were at, I forget the name of the gentleman. I will not repeat the name because I don't remember it. But he was kind of long-winded, and he was a commissioner over there in Lapeer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you remember it,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I remember that.
And everyone's like, okay, yeah. But he had a really good story. And his story, and I don't know if he said it on stage or if it was prior to when I was having a quick Coke with him or whatnot. But he was saying how the county commission over there, they're worried about criminal sexual conduct or CSC cases maybe falling through the cracks because they don't have enough assistant prosecuting attorneys. And I asked him, did you contact at all the Attorney General's office? And he's like, well, they're not really interested in helping us. And I'm thinking, that's crazy. Well, I got a great idea. How about we stop doing these investigations and all of these stupid lawsuits, and more so prosecutions that are politically motivated, actually free up people to go after the real criminals and actually help our counties, whether that be Lapeer or Jackson if they need the help, or wherever else, right?
Kevin, two things, and we're running along, but I love this. Two things. That county commissioner that was very long-winded, but something I picked up on. His concerns in Lapeer County are the same talking points and concerns of the county commission here in Jackson. They're dealing with the same similar issues, and I think county commissions need to link up and work together more. Everybody works autonomously and minds their own business. So that's one thing I did pick up from that guy. What he was talking about was wonderful, but it was a long one. In being a county chair, they had to cut him off. And that's hard to do.
They have to get the big hook like the night of the Apollo.
But now I lost my train of thought on that.
But similar concerns that you guys have there in Jackson, right?
So in Jackson County, we have a wonderful county prosecutor just elected, Kelsey Guernsey. And she's been going to our county commission meetings often, looking for more money. Now, that's their job, always look for more money. But she has a legitimate reason. The state funds the public defender's office, and they have grown attorneys in the public defender's office and can fund that real well. But she's limited to the county budget, and needs to add attorneys to keep pace with the public defender's office, and she's having a hard time doing that because she don't have the money to do it.
Right.
And so she should be able to call the attorney general's office and see if they can't free up a guy for a little while. I know there's 83 counties, and this might be a problem everywhere.
But they're the largest law firm in the state. They should maybe have an extra one here or there.
Yeah, that's I get our prosecutors challenge here.
Yeah. And I think that our prosecutors, they need to be assisted, not just through the attorney general's office when it comes to specialized, manpower personnel from time to time, but as well, ways in which the prosecutors can get together to try to streamline things. And again, I don't know your fine prosecutor that you have elected over there. And I think you said she recently
Hopefully
took
she's here
office.
Thursday. I'd love to introduce you to.
Sure, I'd be happy to
Kelsey's
meet with
awesome.
her and see what we can do should I be successful and get the nomination and win in the general. But our prosecutors, I mean, day in and day out, they give everything that they have, and it's a thankless job. And again, I'm a private attorney right now, right? But you take a look at our prosecutors. I was in Macomb County recently, and I wasn't talking with the elected prosecutor, but I was talking with a few assistant prosecuting attorneys in the past few weeks. There's a lawyer shortage.
There is,
and people think like lawyers are a dime a dozen, and there are all these law schools, and to a certain extent there have been, but there's a shortage of attorneys because of now these days the amount of money that people need to go to law school is almost like a physician, like going to medical school. They can't afford in large measure to do those type of jobs, right? I mean, even myself taking, if I get elected and I have the privilege of being attorney general, I'm taking a big pay cut, but it's not about the money, it's about the duty, right? So they have to be helped with trying to recruit people and retain them. And I want to work with our prosecutors to see what we can do in order to make that possible, because we need good attorneys both on the defense side, but also on the prosecutor side too.
We understand the importance of the defender's office. Why am I screwing up the name? Public defender's office. I get it, and that's good that people who can't afford defense has access to attorneys, but it has to be balanced out. That's relatively new in Michigan. The last couple of years, it used to be local attorneys were in a pool and they took turns, and they got paid.
Is that new in Michigan, or is that just new in Jackson? Because I've heard it in other places.
Michigan.
Okay,
I think it's Michigan.
Statewide.
Yeah, one more thing before we get out of here.
Sure.
Thank you very much for sticking on as long as you did.
Sure, of course.
And I like, if you notice this, we're not grassroots army or anything. And Kevin and I come into this. I always joke. I hate preparing for things. I do not like prep work, and we
don't do it well.
I wing it often, and so we went into this really with no questions written down. So you're great.
You've done well.
Yeah, and then we just go from there. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. We're looking forward to seeing you Thursday. Mm-hmm. I do want to remind everybody, I met you a year and a half ago with Mark Fortin. I call Mark Fortin my buddy. For whatever reason, the first time I met him, I just liked the guy. And I seen you at a state committee meeting. You didn't even need to be there. You're not politically involved in the party, and you were there. And I met you then, and then I ran into you. You come to Jackson. I've seen you a few times. But before you jumped on, I've got a lot of new members. I've been at this a long time. I'm always like, don't nominating petitions for governor and stuff. I'm like, don't sign those yet. Don't jump on and support a candidate yet. We've got a long time before the filing deadline, and a candidate might pop up that you like better. Okay. But I said before you jumped on, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm going against my own rule. I'm down with Kevin for Attorney General. I'm already there. So I'm glad I met you, and I got to know you. And wherever I can help, I'm going to help you through this as best I can.
And I appreciate that very much, your support, because that means we're going to be able to make Michigan secure again. We're going to be able to make Michigan free again. And we're going to be able to restore the integrity in the faith and government that we have, in addition to our elections. And
You
two other quick things.
You're
Oh, I'm sorry.
sincere. You're not talking shit.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
sincere. So
It's interesting. I won't mention names or whatever else. Like, I met with one individual that is announced running for governor last week for about an hour. Actually, today I met with another individual that will remain unnamed.
This is
That's
brutal.
running for governor. And the thing is, though, with both of these individuals, I mean, they're very sincere. They
Yeah.
know what they want to do in order to fix the state, and I just wanted to share with them about what I want to do. And the process for governor, as you already have covered, is a lot different than Secretary of State or Attorney General. But I don't care who the gubernatorial candidate is going to end up being, the nominee. I want to support him or possibly her if, I don't know, Tudor Dixon or someone else gets in. But no, we got to make sure that we just cut the crap and we make Michigan safe. I mean, I don't know if your viewers saw this, and I'll be very short about this because I know you don't have a lot of time. But all the stuff going on in LA right now is absolutely ridiculous. And did you see that tweet? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Claim that Trump doesn't have the authority to step in like that is Democrats. Are you crazy? That's why you're going to lose elections. When you say that the president shouldn't be able to step in to save our cities.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And I won't get into all the nerd stuff, but I mean, it's called Title 10. Title 10 allows the federal government to federalize the state National Guard. And there's like all these different requirements, whatever else. What Trump actually did was to invoke a particular portion, which has never really been used before in Title 10 previously, where it was to defend the assets and the property of federal government sites. So like, for example, ICE operations and stuff like that. It wasn't, he federalized the California National Guard, the 2,000 members, to stop all the rioting. It was just to protect the federal facilities. But if push comes to shove, he can deploy Marines. He can deploy lots of people. Like if he wanted to do something in LA to actually do, not martial law, I don't want to go that far, but to actually restore law and order. 1992, to give your folks some perspective, he actually, George Bush, the first, when he was president, he federalized 10,000 members of the California National Guard and had just under 5,000 active duty military members. So you had a little under 15,000. That's what it took to quell the riots in LA at that time. Now, I mean, he's just protecting those very small areas that ICE operates in. And everyone is just going berserk. And it's like, this is nowhere near what happened, back in 1992.
That's what gets him. It's unprecedented because he took a section of Title 10.
Yeah.
And that's unconstitutional. It's this or that, it's amazing. Good. No, and it's not easy for Trump or his administration to make those decisions. I don't want California National Guards members on the streets. I think about where I live, and of course, I live in, rural Jackson County. FAFO, man. If you started burning some cop cars in Jackson, Michigan, man, you wouldn't need no National Guard. These guys over here. So I don't get that.
We talked about that with the Colorado thing. If you start lighting people on fire, you got shot by the citizen. Honestly,
and did you see
law-abiding citizen?
And did you see what Jocelyn Benson tweeted? I won't read the whole thing, but just to paraphrase, she said this yesterday, and I'll just quote it.
Okay.
She said, "As a military spouse whose career is inspired by the bravery of our citizens who stood up for democracy during the civil rights movement and the National Guard that protected them, I am appalled that President Trump is deploying our own military to quell protesters against his regime." Now, think about that, okay? She is the Secretary of State running for governor, refers to the current administration as a regime. We refer to Saddam Hussein. We refer to Gaddafi. We refer to all these other people's regimes, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if she's using that language, take a look at what the Democratic regime has done here in Michigan. That's first and foremost.
We've talked about it today.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I did, and I put this on Twitter. And actually, I believe I have just as many, if not more likes than Jocelyn Benson right now
Good.
on this topic.
Good news.
I actually said, okay, hold on. Let me translate what Jocelyn Benson said into things that make sense. I said, translation, Jocelyn Benson would deploy social workers and focus groups rather than restore law and order. I said, folks, Democrats cannot and will not keep your city safe. And as Michigan's next Attorney General, my office will prosecute all violent protesters to the fullest extent of the law. The Democrats are on the wrong side of all these 80-20 issues all the time.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn Benson is no exception. I actually call on her, just like almost everyone else did on Twitter, for, because for outrageous comments, to, I'm not saying step out of the race, but to essentially just tone those down and be respectful. President Trump actually sent these National Guard troops because ICE officers and federal officials were being assaulted.
Yeah.
He has a duty to do that. And
Yeah.
she's trying to compare this to the civil rights movement. Not only is that insulting to all the ICE officers and all the federal officials, it's also insulting to African Americans that actually went through the civil rights
The civil rights
So
movement.
Jocelyn Benson, shame on you, and you should apologize to everyone for what you said. You know what? How about you delete your tweet?
I'm going to apologize to you.
I think I found a clip.
I'm not I'm not a follower of you on X. I guess I better get on that.
I
huh?
actually just went on to X. I don't follow you either, but I
All
I
right.
need to.
Yeah, it's just my full name, Kevin Kijewski.
Okay.
And also, if folks want to learn more about my campaign, you could go to kevinformi.com.
Thank you. That's what we needed. And I've got some announcements to make, so we're going to cut you loose as much as I want to sit here and keep talking. But before you do leave, I want to remind everybody, come meet Kevin in person at the beautiful Jackson GOP headquarters.
It is beautiful.
It is.
Nice in
We're
here.
rocking it over here for our Under the Oak Speaker Series. We hold that near monthly before our executive committee meeting. That is Thursday at 6 for about an hour. JXNGOP.org. It's $12. It's a little fundraiser we do to help pay the bills.
Yeah.
And you get an outstanding speaker and some Little Caesars pizza
Hell
and
yeah.
some beverages. Okay.
Lovely.
So
Can't go
I
wrong.
will see you Thursday, and I hope everybody comes.
Real quick before we cut you loose, Kevin. The one thing I personally want to say is, he mentioned Pops mentioned that he's all in for your candidacy, and the reason that I really like you is the fact that what we talked about, the whole scare tactic of using government. You're the first politician that I've spoken to.
He's not a politician yet.
You're the first person I've spoken to wanting to be a politician. Thank you. That literally is going to maybe take a little bit of that fear away. That is no longer the intimidation. Because if we have to hold them accountable, if they're going to intimidate, then we have to hold them accountable. And
If you
maybe more people step up.
and FO, you got it coming. But
play
just-
stupid games, win stupid prizes.
There you go.
Is the more PC way of
a
saying
normal person sitting in their house shouldn't have to worry about the attorney general.
it. No, I don't worry. Yeah, I don't worry about the FBI kicking in my door because I forged my own name.
Most criminals know they're criminals.
They do, right? And they're going to gaslight you as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
don't
I want
fall
to say
for
thank
it.
you for running, and I wish you the best of luck. I mean, you've got my support, and I think me and Pops both definitely support everything. We both thank you for that.
Thank you for coming on, Kevin.
Yes, thank you for coming.
I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on
It's
Thursday.
been a great
okay?
stream.
See you on Thursday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Kevin, I like that guy.
I like that guy too. Well, he's got a sweet name.
Better than Rob Steele.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
If I was writing a book, Rob Steele's got.
So
the
I
winner,
do
but-
worry about winning a campaign with that name.
Rob Steele,
No,
Kevin.
Kijewski.
Well, it's
Le-
funny.
At least he's cool. He's like, I don't care what you
Yeah,
call
just
me.
he's like, just don't come late for dinner.
Yeah. He doesn't get hung up at, hey, you pronounced it wrong or anything like that. It's like when you start a rock band, you got to have a name that everybody's going to remember, like Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, but do we really remember? Do we remember it because we were forced to remember it?
He'll be all right.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think he's a great candidate. And
I'm not going to suggest for him to change his last name to run this campaign.
John in the chat did suggest that, actually. He said he should change it to Wilson or Jennings.
Kevin-
Not Wilson, Smith or Jennings.
Kevin Smith.
That's also the son on the cartoon American Dad. So
Okay.
oh wait, no, that's not his name. That's the guy, Jane Silent Bob. Silent Bob's real name is Kevin Smith. That's what it is. Anyways, I knew I'd heard it somewhere.
Kevin Lashaway.
Just Kevin. Just like Madonna.
All right.
Anyways, what else you got today?
Let's get through these announcements. And, we've done this for 2 hours. This is a 2-hour stream.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be on for 30 minutes. I think we had him for 45 or more.
Well, yeah, we an hour. We had him for an hour.
Most those guys like that can't wait to get off the stream.
No, he was, and he honestly, he probably would have stuck
and,
around
and
with us
I kept
forever.
writing down questions that I didn't even get to.
Some of mine, I just went, I'll wait till Thursday.
It was cool. I loved it. We might, by the way, I wanted to tell you, Kevin. So lately, since we've returned, which has been a while, we have done just a lot of kick the shit streams.
Yeah.
Which, like last week, it was just you and I talking like it was just you and I talking like we do.
Yeah.
Which is fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much the viewers give a shit about that.
We've had, our viewership hasn't gone down; it's gone up.
So, but my point here is we're in the height of getting into campaign season. I will try to get more
switch gears,
guests on here, be a little more serious. That's how we started.
Yeah,
and we'll get back to. I'm always envious because the podcast out of Livingston County, she pulls in great guests. Here's my thing. I can do as good as her, if not better.
Yeah, and we have.
I've done it before.
We'll have better production.
We have better production.
Well, now I can say that
we have professional equipment. We have knowing more what you're doing over there. I say we try to take. It's called the Right Side Podcast. I say we take them out. We step up our game.
Is I came across the Right Side Podcast like in the wild. Just the name. Another big podcaster was talking about them.
Yeah, I will tell you, her viewership is huge. It's the most horrible stage. It's not as cool as ours. Her backdrop.
No, we got the state capitol on.
But her quality, she brings in good guests and she asks good questions.
And that's big.
So we're gonna step up our game a little bit. We're coming after Right Side.
We're coming for you.
We're coming for you.
See, my Lisa, this show, we're going at something that's obtainable. I decided this a long time ago, but even more now. I'm coming at Joe Rogan on my other show. So,
okay.
we're starting wars everywhere, but I think I'd rather fight the people from Livingston County than Joe Rogan.
We're coming after we take out the Right Side Podcast. We're taking out Grassroots Army.
Yeah, we're coming for you. We're coming for you.
Watch out, Garrett.
We're coming for Garrett.
Here we come.
All
right.
Anyways.
So Garrett, don't go into rants like that.
But why not?
Whatever. On to the announcements. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. What's going on?
The UTOS under the old speaker series. Candidate for Attorney General Kevin Kijewski.
Kijewski.
Just leave it there. This Thursday, 6:00, jxngop.org, $12. Help us out. Come see a great speaker. We are holding a precinct delegate event, and I didn't pull up the poster. I think Vanessa has it titled correctly. It's on our webpage.
I'll pull the webpage.
But that's where our precinct delegates get together and have a little powwow and talk business. That is 6/18 on June 18th. Their guest is the one and only John Rutan.
Oh.
John Rutan, constitutional scholar guru guy from Hillsdale. He's the guest, along with one of our many vice chairs of the Michigan GOP, Susan Kokinda. I forget which vice chair role she holds, but they're kind of all the same if you ask me. But it'll be a great show that's free to attend, and it doesn't say anything about food on there.
Which one you said?
It's the red one.
This one right here.
Yeah. Yep. Is your community on life support? That sounds like my precinct delegates.
Yeah. Well, they get better guests than we do, so maybe I need to find out. No, I'm kidding.
We can get John Rutan anytime. I don't know if I've got the energy to keep up with John Rutan on this. John's a smart guy.
I might have it just because I keep up with John Wilson every
that's
Thursday.
Similar but different. But anyways, it's free, and I say there's no food listed, but you know what? The old ladies usually have food. There's usually some food, cookies and stuff like that. So that is on the 18th, 6:00. And then I'm going to jump down here on June 26th. Did I write it down wrong? June 26th. We're having a youth coalition. We're going to get anybody 13 to 25 show up here for free at the Jackson GOP headquarters. And we're waiting on a flyer for that because I'm partnering up with Turning Point USA.
Okay.
Not Turning Point Action.
Mm-hmm.
They've been actually jacking me around. Miguel, my boy James Asher, and they haven't helped me. I was in contact with this nice lady from Turning Point USA. There's a difference between the two. Still Charlie Kirk. They're coming in on a chandelier. They're going to present stuff to our youth. Everybody's invited for free. Turning Point USA is paying for the pizza, and they're going to discuss how to organize our youth coalition, Turning Point USA. So I'm looking forward to that. That's on the 26th at 7 o'clock. That's free. That flyer will be on the website, Jackson GOP, shortly. They're creating the graphic for that, not Chris.
Okay.
If it was Chris, we'd already have it.
Yeah, but
okay. And then
I get it.
starting next a week from Wednesday, so not this Wednesday, we've already started, but we're skipping a week, and then every Wednesday after this week, Americans for Prosperity is here at the Jackson GOP headquarters doing phone banking.
Mm-hmm.
And from 11 to 1, you come, you have fun, we make calls, we don't ask people for money. What we're looking for right now is for people to support the Trump tax cuts that are about to expire.
This one, right?
Yes. Now that was
this is
last
actually for June 4th, but
he should take that off.
Yes, it should be changed.
But it's the same thing. We start back up a week from Wednesday, and we're going to do that every Wednesday. You come here, they show you how to do it. You make some calls. Hey, will you call your U.S. senator and tell them to support the Trump tax cuts?
Mm-hmm.
After that campaign, we'll be fighting for right to work, and then the big one, the elimination of Michigan income tax. So Americans for Prosperity every Wednesday, 11 to 1. And guess what they do at 1 o'clock?
They take you to lunch.
They like to buy lunch.
Yeah, I was coming in just as you guys were leaving for lunch the one day, and I'm like, I missed it.
You probably could have just jumped in.
I know, but I did. I'm not
so
that guy.
They
I had
might
a show to
they
do.
might start catering it in with the Commonwealth Commerce Center where the Jackson GOP is with our caterer. They make delicious food.
Yeah. I've never had anything I didn't like.
Abby from Commonwealth Catering, she mentioned maybe meatball sandwiches.
Oh.
I said, you're going to change it up every week, right? And she goes, oh, yeah, turkey. And then she said, meatball sandwich.
You can just do meatball sandwiches every week, and I'll just...
I know.
I'll even make phone calls. I don't make
Regardless, AFP likes to buy food, and you
Yeah,
come
no.
down and hang out with some fun people, make some calls trying to save our state and save America.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look through here. Oh, July 10th.
July 10th?
Under the Yoke Speaker Series guest is already booked.
Oh, yeah?
Candidate for U.S. Senate, hang on to this, John Smith, Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers will be here July 10th, 6 o'clock. And you come and you ask Mike questions, and we do that under the Oak Speaker Series thing. And once again, for $12, you get to see Senate candidate Mike Rogers and get some Little Caesars pizza and a beverage. That's it.
Fair.
You see, I saved that for last.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it was a great show. It was great having
Maybe we'll get Mike Rogers on the show.
I think we should.
I'll work on it.
Yeah, obviously, thank you, Kevin Kijewski or Kijewski or however you want to say it.
I think you got it right the first time.
I wrote it down, Kijewski. Thank you. We want to thank you for coming in, guys. Make sure you follow the channel if you're not already. Like this stream. It's very important. It's free to do it. Guys,
the Facebook page.
Yeah, like the Facebook page. I put that in the chat earlier, and it's always down in the description. And I always forget the Ko-Fi. If you like donating to the show, you can do it on or off the air. Go to ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/STTPPOD, STTP pod. You can always donate to the show. But
Have you
anyways,
heard that new song from POD?
No. Oh, I heard them announce it, but
It's
then
not the POD that
and
I
then I
like.
turned it off.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, POV's kind of become a rush to me. I just turned the whole radio
I
off.
used to like them.
Did we though, or do we nostalgically think we did?
I don't know.
Anyways, that's a debate for another time, maybe. But anyways, we'll be back next week. Do we have a guest next week set up? I don't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, get on that and we'll figure
Maybe
out.
it should be John Rutan.
Maybe John Rutan.
All right.
Anyways, guys, we'll see you guys next week. We're getting the heck out of here. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
Don't bend the knee, hold the line. Only tyrants demand compliance. We will not comply. No, stick to our plan and fight. Now it's you and me. First suppression, one for the ages. They won't hold us down. No, we're fired up at the sound of one nation under God, indivisible. They will try to take our crown, but they can't take it from me. 50 stars, 13 stripes, ain't it beautiful? It's time we unite, unmovable, standing side by side, united we stand, divided they will fall. One nation under God, indivisible. They will try to take our crown, but they can't take it from me. We have to stick to the plan. We will stick to the plan. It's liberty for all. It's time we unite and fight, fight, fight.
As a federal jury appears to